Let's get to the top story of the day. On FS1's Undisputed, Julio Jones called in and told Shannon Sharpe that he wants out of Atlanta. The exact quote, you saw it, "I'm out of there." And when asked if he's staying with the Atlanta Falcons, he also added that he wants to win. Who doesn't want to win? But that is probably important in all of this. So let's go right to Adam Schefter. Adam, how did we get to this point?
Well, Laura, here's the backstory behind this story today. Essentially, in March, Julio Jones told the new Falcons management, general manager Terry Fontenot, head coach Arthur Smith, that he wanted to be traded. So this was Matthew Stafford in Detroit, only Atlanta in March. And essentially, everybody tried to keep it quiet because they wanted to go about trading him very quietly, in peace, out of the public eye, and they had to wait till after June 1st to do it from a financial standpoint because of the cap hit that the Falcons would have to take after June 1st compared to before June 1st. So essentially, Julio Jones told the Falcons, I want to move on from Atlanta. I want to go to a place where I could win. I don't want to be there anymore. And both sides were working towards a resolution until today. Julio Jones publicly said, though I don't know he realized he said it publicly, that he was out of Atlanta and wanted to go someplace else. So essentially, that's how we got here. This has been going on for weeks, for months. It's just that it hadn't been done as publicly as it was done today.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because a lot of people were even tweeting, like, did he even know that he said that on air? Anyway, what is the cost, Adam, for a team to try and trade for Julio at this point?
Laura, the Falcons have been asking other teams for weeks now for a first-round draft pick. Now, ultimately, because of the level of interest, they might get it for one of the great receivers of all time, for a perennial Pro Bowl wide receiver. And if you look at a division like the NFC West, where the 49ers could have some interest, we'll see whether they wind up having that or not. It depends on how many teams from each division are interested. They would like a one. Now, initially, they preferred to trade him out of conference. But I was told today that they would be willing to deal him wherever they got the best value. Now, in a perfect world, that best value would be out of conference in the AFC. But if there's an NFC team that steps forward with the right price, I don't think Atlanta would balk at sending Julio Jones within the conference, even though its preference would be to trade him to the AFC.
Yeah, Adam's staying with us for this discussion. And it's interesting because I think initially we all thought maybe we had to target AFC teams for this, but now we've got more clarity there. Let's go back to this, though, Mina. Is Julio worth the draft capital and cap space he will require in order to grab him? You just heard the context from Adam there.
Yeah. Yes, he's Julio Jones. This is one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history, and he's been great recently. I know last year he didn't play the entire season. It's worth noting, though, the prior 6 seasons, he only missed 4 games, so it's not like he's been, suffers from injuries quite frequently. But last year, in the games he did play, he ranked 4th in the NFL in yards per routes run, which is a stat I like because it captures both production and usage. Laura, the amount of money that would port over to a new team makes his contract a steal. It'd be $15 million this year, $11 million in 2022. That would rank 19th amongst wide receivers. Julio Jones would be cheaper than Nelson Aguilar. He would be cheaper than both Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. I don't understand why every team in the NFL with cap space and draft picks is not on the phone calling Atlanta right now.
Yeah, to your point, Mina, I think people have somehow forgotten how great I realize injury factors in there, but yeah, he really is Julio Jones. All right, Dan, I'm going to try to limit you to one team. I don't know if it's going to work. Give me a team that makes sense as a trade partner for Atlanta to try to acquire Julio Jones.
Yeah, I would say it's the New England Patriots. Laura, I think the AFC right now is like a 3-team race. I think it's obviously the Kansas City Chiefs, then the Buffalo Bills, and the Cleveland Browns. But if the New England Patriots acquired Julio Jones, it would now become a 4-team race. One, we're not giving enough credit to how good this New England offense is going to be offensive line-wise. This is going to be a top 5 offensive line with a really good run game. So now everybody imagine this top 5 offensive line, dominant run game with some really good backs and Julio Jones on the outside. So what do? You got the addition of Nelson Aguilar on one side. Well, that's a solid pass-catching threat. We all know that Jonnu Smith has been added. And then you put the freak outside of Julio Jones in addition to Hunter Henry. we're talking about an offense that I don't care if I'm playing quarterback, they're going to be really good. And I think the two questions that have to get asked for the situation for not only New England, but a lot of teams are, what is the market for Julio Jones? Because if it's a second-round pick, there's a lot more teams in there than the first-round pick. And then are we win now? Are we truly a win now football team? Because if you are, and the market is a second-round pick, you have to make the phone call.
And Dan, I don't think the Falcons will wind up getting a first-round draft pick in 2022 in return for Julio Jones. Now, maybe there are enough teams that jump in and it drives up the price to where they ultimately do get that for him. That's always possible. But as I sit here today, I don't know ultimately that's what winds up happening. But what I do think winds up happening now, I think everybody could agree, it looks like Julio Jones is gone from Atlanta. It looks like this is going to happen. Yeah. It looks like he's going to be traded, that it now would be a surprise if he were not traded, that these two sides were trying to do this privately, and it now has gone public to the point where I don't know that they can both turn around and walk it back. It looks like they have to trade him. And think about this. It's late May. Julio Jones wants out of Atlanta. Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston. It's late May, and the offseason may just be getting underway in the NFL.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.